On today's show, we're going to explore the most important TikTok updates we need to be on top of as marketers, including a new TikTok feature for local businesses that is now expanding into the US. This looks really cool. Also, TikTok Shop is adding some new features, which I think some of them will overcome a lot of the reasons that certain marketers were not using it yet. And another TikTok another TikTok here, another TikTok update all about one of their products shutting down. So we'll fill you in on that just in case it's part of your marketing strategy. All right. My name is Jerry Potter, host of the Social Media Marketing Talk Show, a Social Media Examiner production, where we break down all the latest social media news and what it means for marketers like you. Today, I'm joined by Kenya Kelly. Kenya is a social media and video marketing expert who helps entrepreneurs grow their businesses online. She's also host of the Kenya Kelly podcast. Kenya, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to see you.
So I'm not a local business anymore, but man, when I worked at the agencies, it was always tricky with some of these obviously international platforms to take advantage of them locally. So TikTok is now expanding what they call their local services. They tested it in Southeast Asian markets, now may come to the US. So remind us what this is. And
yeah, for sure. So basically, for the longest time, there's always been this thing where you've got local businesses and they're not really sure if they should advertise on TikTok because it's so global, but they have really been dialing in on local businesses being able to target their particular area. And so they have been doing a test for quite a while in some countries with influencers and creators, giving them like discount codes and vouchers as they are creating content to the local area, getting people to come into local bars and restaurants and hotels and things of that nature. And so they are, of course, expanding to more markets. And that right now they are looking for, like, they're hiring in like Seattle, Los Angeles, basically on the West Coast, and in New York, so they can really get, I think, more feet to the ground, more restaurants and bars and hotels utilizing this service.
Yeah, well, and you've worked with obviously a lot of brands over the years, and you can have a huge like national or international presence, but still benefit locally. But this is definitely an interesting expansion around that. And then they're also testing, it's basically reviews, but it's in the comments. So explain to us exactly what's happening with this.
Yes, I think it's actually really cool because a lot of times, like the way that we used to behave, it was like Yelp and Google were the places that we go to. But now it's a real big habit to go to TikTok to search for a thing and, things we should do in certain city, state, country, or whatever. And so one of the things that's happening is that, let's just say we go to this particular restaurant and there's videos about it where people are able to write in the comments or reviews about their experience with the place or their recommendations. I look at it, when I saw it, it was like a Google review, but it felt much more like Yelp, but it's more so like TikTok's version where people are able to really like give their feedback on the experience they've had there or whatever the video is about, and not just like a regular comment, but a legit review.
So tell me, just say a little bit more, like, how do you see Yelp and Google as being different in terms of their reviews?
So I don't think it's like super I think that it's like the user behavior has kind of changed. So we used to go to Google and we would say, okay, what are people saying about this dentist? Or we go to Yelp and what are people saying about this restaurant, or what's their pizza? And so now TikTok is like, we're going to TikTok to see that experience more than we are to Yelp. And so TikTok is integrating what normally happens on Yelp into Google, to where you've got this restaurant and people are able to legitimately put reviews to that restaurant. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work, if people can just write random reviews or if it has to be verified. I'm not really sure how that's gonna kind of pan out. Because if one person has a bad experience, it can go really left really quick on TikTok. But if it's good, then it can go really right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure they'll work out the bugs as they go too. I mean, I remember, back in the day, like Google reviews, people would have like an iPad at the counter and they're like, leave us a review and we'll give you a discount. And Google cracked down on that kind of stuff real quick. So it'll be interesting to see, how they regulate that. So
I think it's gonna take a while though. I think they're gonna be in the infancy stages, the way they Google and then work, and then eventually they'll be able to regulate it.
Yeah, but TikTok has locked down search in a way that none of the other social networks have ever been able to do, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's
and
why
they're,
I think
they're already they're indexed with Google. So if you're searching for a thing on TikTok long enough and you can't find it, then it'll connect you to Google. So I think they're gonna go hand in hand at some point in time with this.
Okay. All right. And then another feature coming out, TikTok Footnotes, and this is kind of based around bit differing opinions, which obviously TikTok is encouraging. We've seen Facebook and Instagram kind of go through a bunch of changes with this lately. So tell us about the TikTok footnotes feature.
So the way that I look at it, as for me, it feels like testers that are able to, they're able to say, I guess, state their opinion on things or give feedback on things. I'm not really 100% convinced on what it actually is, but it feels like they're giving many of us an opportunity to give our opinion on something. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, well, it seems almost like it's not fact checking, but it's kind
Mhm.
of like encouraging more, a little bit more diversity in opinion.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was interesting with this, first of all, they said that that you can't just create an account and do it. So you have to have an account that's, I
Right.
think, is it at least 16 or 6 months old? You got to be
Yeah.
18 or over.
Mhm.
No community,
Violations.
guidelines.
Mhm.
Violations, but it seems like an opportunity. Like it almost seems like they want to invite more controversial topics, which I don't see
Mm.
TikTok as, although obviously we all have different experiences. Do you already see a lot of, I mean, you have your own feed, but you talk to a lot more people.
Oh,
Do you see
yeah.
a lot of different like controversial stuff on
Oh,
TikTok?
yeah. If you stay on
Okay.
TikTok long enough, you'll be in shock at what is happening in the world, what people are doing, and it's a lot going on in the world of that if you watch enough of it. So I think that is going to help with a lot of that. I don't
Okay.
necessarily think it's going to be fact checking. I think it's more so putting context to a situation, because sometimes TikTok could be thinking it's actually this, but with the footnote, you're able to actually bring more context to what it actually is. Because I think that there's going to be a lot more AI, involvement with TikTok. And if AI is saying a certain thing, but all of us that have access to footnotes are saying something else, then
Yeah.
it's kind of like a fact checking of the AI, and then maybe it'll go to a real person. I think maybe.
Okay. Okay. So what you're saying is I'm living in my TikTok bubble and I'm missing out on a lot of this stuff. I mean, it
You're
happens,
definitely in
right?
Jerry's bubble.
We get into these echo chambers on all the platforms because they're so
Yeah.
customized now. Well, the other thing I was thinking too, we were talking about reviews for local businesses, but this would be interesting where people could start adding comments about products or footnotes about
Mhm.
products. And so it'll probably be something that brands will need to
Mhm.
monitor if it
Mhm.
goes in that direction. So
Mhm.
this is just something right now that's in testing. We don't know if it's going to roll out wide or not, but you said you applied for it, right?
Yeah, so of course I meet the requirements. So on both of my accounts, I submit it, hopefully hoping that they'll give me access sooner than later.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that. All right. TikTok Shop. There's a lot of people that sell e-commerce and they've been like, I don't know. We're going to wait and see. But some new features rolling out that we'll tell you about here in just a second. But if you are wondering about AI, Kenya just brought up AI and what a big part it's playing everywhere. Social Media Examiner's latest show called AI Explored is designed to help you understand the business uses of AI. Some of the comments people have made: one episode in and I'm hooked. A must-listen AI podcast for those who want to use it effectively. Great information, great guests. Wow. And I've listened to a bunch of episodes, and it really is, considering how fast AI changes, it really is a great way to not only stay up to date, but even episodes that are, back a couple months are still value packed with all kinds of incredible stuff. So you can pull up your favorite podcast app, search for AI Explored, should come right up, or you can go to socialmediaexaminer.com/AI Explored to check that out. So, all right, let's talk TikTok Shop. I know you've been a big fan for a long time. First, they are expanding in the EU. They've launched it in France, Germany, and Italy. So be aware of
Mhm.
that. And then they're adding more features, which I feel like are overcoming some of the objections to using
Mhm.
it if you're already using, another platform right now. So what are some of these updates you're seeing, Kenya?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of the businesses that are currently using TikTok Shop, of course, initially everything was amazing. TikTok handled a lot of the returns and the return policies and all that stuff. But what a lot of them started to experience was some of the roadblocks and challenges with the ones that are already creating on Shop, selling on Shop, but then those that are resistant to getting on Shop. And so they're making like a ton of different updates for that. One of them is a customizable automated after sales process,
Mm-hmm.
because when you have your own Shopify, you're able to determine what happens afterwards. So they're making that customizable. The ability to ship to PO boxes, and prevent any kind of delivery issues. Adjustable cancellation request windows. I'm not really sure what the cancellation request is right now, but I think it's probably must be some big of an issue. They're
Yeah.
customizing the return periods for 14 to 90 days, which is, I guess that's good. I'm wondering what the issues that they're actually having.
Well, like with the adjustable cancellation request windows, you know, if you're somebody who prioritizes putting an order in process quickly, and like you said, I don't know what the fixed one was, but if you
Mhm.
got, you know, you're doing everything in the first 24 hours, and then they're supposed to have 48 to cancel, like that could cost you a lot of money over time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think if they did that too, then they've got to be. I guess at some point in time, they probably will expand how quickly you got to get a product out too,
Mm.
because if people really start having the success they want to have, then that quick turnaround is probably a nightmare.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, it's always cool to see them adding
Hmm.
more of this stuff,
Hmm.
which is really, really cool. So, and then somewhat related to this, this is, you know, when we're thinking about advertising and where we want to show up, there's some new TikTok safety suite features,
Hmm.
which they're basically setting it up now so that it's easier for you to not show up when you're placing ads next to videos or creators that you don't want to show up to. We were just talking about some of the controversial stuff. Obviously, that could
Hmm.
be some of it, or your competitors, or different things like that. So, if basically there's ways to say, I don't want to be next to this video, or I don't want to be next to these profiles. So those
Hmm.
are in the brand safety hub in the TikTok ads manager. So you can find those for you and your clients, which is going to be cool as well. All right, TikTok Live. This definitely ties into shop. And I love some of the new tech that they're giving to people, but still making it easier. I remember when you were telling me a while back how, like in China, they literally had whole rooms set up where it was like a mini shopping mall where everybody's
Yeah.
going live selling stuff. So, what are these updates we're seeing now with TikTok Live?
Yeah. So the first thing to note is that this right now is for the gamers. They're not actually giving it to regular creators or business owners because in
Oh,
order to
okay.
have TikTok Studio on your desktop, one, you have to have Windows, right? It has to be a Windows version, not iOS. But one of the updates that they're making is that they're going to make like multi-streaming is a little bit easier in a sense. So with the TikTok Studio app, what they're saying is that you can easily add a phone, a friend's device, or an iPad as a second camera. So as I was looking at it, I said, what are they probably competing with? Oh, they're probably competing with something like Twitch because
Hmm.
you've got people like Kai Cenat and all the different Twitch streamers that they're on multiple devices at one time. And I think this is a cool way for TikTok to be able to allow people who are streaming with gaming and things of that nature to be able to stream, the multi-camera angle and things of that nature. I think they're testing it out first with the gamers, but I think eventually, who knows how long, we will get access to that. But that's kind of how I saw it.
Yeah, well, I think it's cool because if you are, you know, let's say you're great on live, you got good stuff to sell or
Mhm,
talk about, but you're not
mhm,
like tech's not your thing. You know, we
mhm,
know people that are very successful running everything from their phone.
mhm.
And I guess from the tech standpoint, you're just going to scan a QR code inside the TikTok Studio app, and then
Yeah.
it'll link to that other camera to it. So,
Mhm. I
um,
think this is also gonna roll out to I think they're testing it with the gamers because that's been going on for a little while. I think it's gonna expand to TikTok Shop because when you see some of the big TikTok Shop lives that TikTok is actually present for, everything is still in that one place. But I think they can see the benefit if there's like a TikTok studio or someone has their studio set up and this is the setup for this product and this is the setup for that product. It just kind of
hmm.
makes life a little bit easier if they want to go back and forth in what they're selling on Shop.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get to a point where you can use both your front and back camera on the same device?
I
Because
do.
I've seen there are recording apps that'll do that. I know.
Mhm. I do. I think that their TikTok is so far ahead, but also far behind because their time came sooner than they thought because of COVID, uh, But I think that they're like moving at the speed of light, but also trying to like brace themselves for all the different things that they can do. But I do think it's going to happen. I mean, because if you look at what happens in China with shop and all that, it's 10 times, a million times bigger and better than what's happening in the US because it's new to the US.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just picturing, I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to do it all yourself. Well, I guess you could. I was trying to picture like if you had your hands on your back on the back camera, like demonstrating
Mhm.
something, the front would be real close to your face. but I guess if you weren't holding the other thing, then that could work really well. So
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to
exactly.
see.
We'll see what
So
happens.
all right. And then there's another feature where you are able to mark certain viewers when you are live streaming. So what is this update?
Yeah. So anytime you're live on TikTok, especially when you have hundreds of people in the room, sometimes you can't necessarily see who is who. But there's this new feature that's called Mark Viewers, where I can go in the back of my TikTok live and I can say, hey, these are my friends, and I just tag them. So then when they show up in my live stream and they're commenting or liking or engaging, it's highlighted that it's them versus them just looking like everybody else.
Okay. Okay. So, and it's specifically based on the people that you're both following, like you're following each other, or can you designate them? Or do we know yet?
I think as of right now, you just have to designate them in the back end. It's not, they haven't said you have to follow them or they follow you back. You just have to go in the back of your settings on live stream and you have to search their name and put them in there. But I would assume that for safety reasons that they will probably make both of you guys follow each other.
Okay. So then a brand could do that with, employees who, to be able to mention their comments or favorite customers or because you can just go in and like put them in ahead of time, basically.
Yeah. So they haven't differentiated whether this is a creator account or a business account because there's always restrictions between the two.
Yeah.
Right now, it feels like a personal/creator account, but we'll see what with businesses.
Okay. Yeah. With this new stuff, I mean, obviously we know sometimes it rolls out slowly, not as slow as like Facebook features sometimes, but they roll out slowly. And so I always like to update people so that like, at least you're like the back of your brain can start thinking like, how would I use that? So, okay, awesome. This is just a quick update. They have now added alternative text for photo posts. So when you're putting up a post, you can add alternative text, which not only is great for accessibilities, but usually helps for search as well. So you can watch for that if you are putting photos on TikTok. And then another update with security. This is, whether you're managing your own account or if you're managing brand accounts, they're trying to make it easier to not lose your account, it sounds like. So what are we seeing with this update?
Yeah. So a lot of people are having issues with getting hacked, and that's on all platforms. And so what they've done is they're doing more a two-step verification. And like when you have multiple devices logged into one account, you're able to kind of like dictate to TikTok that these accounts are safe. Now, I love the idea of that because I'm always very apprehensive about giving my social media manager access to my account on TikTok in fear of it getting banned or blocked because she's in Indonesia. But with this new feature, I feel like agencies and businesses and brands are going to have a lot more peace about giving someone access to that account or having them as an account that's logged in without the fear of it getting hacked or banned.
I love that. And in addition to it, as an agency or as a manager, you could even almost add, not that you charge extra for this, but you could almost add it to your services. Like we're going to also monitor your account security. And so once a week, somebody with access logs in and goes, okay, it's on the only 3 devices it's supposed to be on. Because I was especially thinking, when you are managing an account, maybe the company itself had 3 to 5 people logged in, and then you have 3 employees at the agency logged in. So that would be I don't know. I think as a client, I would be like, I appreciate that. Thank you. You couldn't guarantee it.
For sure. You just want to know that it's happening. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, love that. All right. And TikTok is shutting down their Notes app. It's going to be shut down and discontinued for all users on May 8th. If you're not using it, you didn't know that, but if you are using it, you probably already got a notification. But I always like to mention this stuff because whenever something new comes out, we feel like, oh, I got to get on that thing. And then some of them only last 6 months.
Yeah.
So while there are advantages to being early, like, those of you that were like all over TikTok before 2020, and then it obviously blew up. This is, sometimes so much of this stuff, because we cover all of it on this show. Some of it just disappears, right?
Yeah. Well, there is something new that's coming. They haven't rolled it out yet, but I got this invite to TikTok business creators, the people who sell products, who sell courses and digital goods. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. So now they're teaching us and giving us access to certain things that most people don't have access to. And I can't be certain, but I think this is going to be our way of selling courses and consulting through the TikTok app versus not being able to sell it. We have to sell it through our own links.
Yeah. So you were like, finally, as an educator, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pick me.
Yeah. YouTube's my primary platform, and there's been like hints of that kind of stuff, and they test things. But it'll be interesting if that becomes the standard, to be able to, the ability to sell digital products. It does seem like a a lost revenue stream for some of these platforms where they just, take a fee each time or something like
Yeah.
that. So, all right. Quick reminder, the new AI Explored podcast, you can go to socialmediaexaminer.com/AI Explored to check it out. And Kenya, where is the best place to discover more about you?
So you can find me on all socials. I am Kenya Kelly, Keenya Kelly, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I just hit 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, so come find me there.
Ooh, congratulations.
Yes,
That's
thank you.
awesome. All right. And if you want to add another podcast to your listening lineup about social media, of course, don't forget the Social Media Marketing Podcast with Michael Stelzner. Until next time, may you be wise with your marketing decisions. Thanks, everyone. Bye.